Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. And thank you for inviting us to speak at this grand rounds titled Homelessness, Nothing About Us Without Us. The panelists and the organizations they represent strongly believe that the people directly affected by the systems are the true experts of those systems. Today, each panelist will be discussing their personal experience of homelessness and will connect that experience with the issue most important to their organizations. Our first speaker is from Picture the Homeless, Mr. Gene Rice.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, sisters and brothers. I didn't have much time to prepare for this because originally another member of our organization, a female, very articulate, ex-school teacher, was supposed to share her experience with you. She was chosen by our organization because we believe in democratic participation and we believe in-house in what we say out of house. And Ms. Henry is a female impacted by homelessness. And the fastest rising segment of the homeless population in the United States of America are females with children. So having said that, I'm going to give it my best shot to tell you a little bit about me. I'm 71 years old. I was born July 1st, 1939 in Anderson, South Carolina, in the midst of American apartheid. My family migrated to New York City, Harlem, 141st Street, sometime during 1944. Our family dug in there, worked hard there, from people that grew up here working in defense plants, going off to fight for the war in the war cause during World War II. And after that, our family tried to embody in us the zeal to get an education and to work hard, and you would prosper in this city and in our country. So that's much of how I grew up. We, as a family, didn't encounter any homeless problems to speak of until around late 70s, early 80s, when my predecessors started to die out, and we tried to hold on to what fabric we had built in the community and to hold on to the valuable housing space that we had handed down from generation to generation. Around 1981, my father's sister, Willie Brown, was tragically murdered in apartment 52 at 108 West 148th Street, and suddenly I found I didn't have any ascendancy rights because I trusted, through my family and my southern upbringing, as long as my aunt had a place to stay and there was a room in that apartment, I had a place to stay. I didn't know that I had to compel my aunt to put my name on a lease. She would have considered that a breach of trust, a disrespect. I never pressed on that matter. I just worked hard and put my share, my income into the household, and I thought that if anything happened to her, I would be the next in line. Tragically, I found out that I had no ascendancy rights, and that was my first encounter with homelessness, sometime in the early 80s. From that period, I drifted from cousins, aunts, etc., and friends. And then I came to the realization that in this city, if your name is not on a lease, you have no legal standing, and you're homeless. So that's how I became homeless. My name is still not on the lease, so I'm still homeless as I sit here before you this afternoon. But about the policy, like I said, some of my family members have opened their doors to me and let me into their household. But according to the policy, I was only worth a subsidy of $215 per month to contribute to that household. Speaking of the policy, now they can't endure that kind of meager input into their household. So now I'm on the street and a outreach worker comes and tells me if I go into the system, they'll give the proprietor of whatever institution that I'm institutionalized in, whatever dwelling I'm institutionalized in, a couple of $1,000s a month. So I started to look at myself and said, did I grow any more limbs? I'm the same anatomy, the same person. Why am I worth so little in my community and living with my family, mentoring and nurturing my little cousins, my grandkids, and all of a sudden, when I'm destabilized and institutionalized, I become worth so much money to the same, what kind of policy is this? So around that time, I was on the street on fixed income, but that wasn't enough to sustain me. So I started to endeavor in a underground business venture called recycling. That means I walked from place to place picking up recyclable containers. Water bottles wasn't recyclable then, but they are now. And I used that to subsidize my meager income. During that time, I witnessed that as a matter of policy, the then Mayor Giuliani criminalized homelessness, the next mayor industrialized homelessness, and even tried to rescind the bottle law that was putting those extra nickels in my pocket. Luckily, it was a state law, not a city law, and the mayor can't supersede the state. So the bottle law, in fact, stayed intact in spite of Mayor Bloomberg, and it even got enlarged. So now water bottles are also worth a nickel. So, but still, even with that additional revenue, being homelessness in the city is not easy. As a matter of policy, people that don't want to go into the system to be exploited and trampled upon. As a matter of principle, I refuse to go in a system where I'm worth more outside of my community than I am in a stable environment where I grew up, where I'm loved, where I love people. As a matter of principle, I won't go into a system like that until it becomes more humane, when it's no longer about destabilization of generations of family people, and when that humaneness comes into the system, then I'll gladly join it. But until then, on a matter of principle, Gene Rice and other members of my organization will exist outside of the system. We will continue to try to arouse the public to seek out an answer as to why such improprieties and such inconsistencies exist in a city that is as affluent as New York City is at the present time. Yeah. Another point that I'd like to make about the way the system doesn't work. While I've been on the street, without going into the system, through my organization, Picture the Homeless, I found out that I could apply for a Section 8 voucher. I did that. After extensive criminal background check, I was found eligible. I was issued a voucher. But as a matter of policy, why would you give me a voucher and put a time limit on it for 180 days and the waiting list is 2 years long? What sane person would give me a voucher that's good for 180 days, put me on a waiting list that's 2 years long? So, again, I think as a matter of policy, I'm being programmed to fail here. I mean, what other conclusion is there? This doesn't happen by happen chance. Picture the Homeless is trying to industrialize the industrialization of homelessness. Too many people make money off of the record number of homelessness that now exists in our city, and it's kind of like a conflict of interest. They ask the same people that are being subsidized and making money off of homeless people's backs to do away with the problem. So Picture the Homeless would like the opportunity, being exposed to this draconian system every day, each and every day of our lives, to be at the table to implement some real workable policies in conjunction with other notable groups. One is people sitting here, like Community Voices Heard, has been working with us a long time. I've been a member of Picture the Homeless now for almost a decade. I'm also a poverty scholar at Union Theological Seminary in the Poverty Initiative Program. I've been a member of that for 5 years, I'm appalled that groups like CVH and Picture the Homeless don't get the proper recognition, the proper seat at the proper table at the proper time to make workable policy possible. But whenever you have this amount of people, homelessness, you're going to get some people that are going to be guilty of antisocial behavior. But our mass media always find room in their print to print out the misconduct of a maladjusted, malcontent person who happens to be homeless, who's engaged in antisocial behavior. Very little do I see about the impact of benign neglect. Very little do I see about the impact of things like planned shrinkage. Very seldom do I see the impact of President Clinton dismantling the aid for dependent children. Very seldom do I see people talking about what's really wrong. I close.